The first thing I would say is to recognize that you're breathing. Shift your attention to the inner aliveness of yourself. That doesn't need a concept. It just needs attention. There are a few realizations you can't live peacefully without realizing. These realizations kind of, let's say, debunk the normal realizations. What people call realizations. Like, for example, I don't really talk about this, but God. A lot of people have claimed to have realized God. And the realizations I'm going to speak about here today are a little bit beyond that, because they're not based on a conception or conceptual thinking. So these realizations take place within yourself. They don't need any external condition, any external situation. Recognizing that, you might take a little look at this within yourself and recognize that that's it. That's what I've been missing. That is what allows the peace to arise within myself. It's not about anything external. And once you realize that, peace begins to arise within you. Calm, compassion. You don't need a concept. You don't need any conceptual realization. Now, the words that we're using help point us to it, but it's not it. Usually, the normal state of consciousness looks at something outside of yourself. They conceptualize it, and then they say that that is it. Realizing that you don't need anything external to live peacefully is it. Not the words, but the awareness of it, the awareness itself. Now, how to go into that realization? The first thing I would say is to recognize that you're breathing. Shift your attention to the inner aliveness of yourself. That doesn't need a concept. It just needs attention. Inhalation, exhalation. What concept does that need? You can probably sense, just with that one inhalation and exhalation, you can probably sense the peace and joy and godliness within yourself without needing to believe something. So, if you have not realized this and you have a conceptual belief in a religion, let's say, nothing wrong, because it's trying to point to what we're looking at. Religion is trying to point to it, but it's usually overlooked in all religions almost, because what we're saying is beyond the words. What we're recognizing is beyond the words. It's just this. And you're handling situations, doing things, interacting with people from this. Not a concept in your head. Because if a concept in your head and someone doesn't agree with that concept, look what happens. Recognizing that living peacefully is beyond all concepts is almost the ultimate realization in human consciousness. Because at that point, you realize you don't need anything conceptual. You just need to be who you are, which is awareness, consciousness, presence. And you carry that through life, with all situations, with all interactions. And once you ultimately, continuously bring that into your life, without letting the concepts take over, you can use the concepts, they're still there, but not allowing them to ultimately take control of your state of being, which is this. You can still be a part of a religious structure, nothing wrong, but at the same time, you don't take it so seriously, because you know that the essence of who you are, the essence of God itself, is ultimately you and everything. But again, that's a concept. So you know that, but underneath that, you know that you are this. And you can deal with any situation from there, which doesn't have to try to hold up some type of religious or some type of mental structure. That's where the peace comes. You don't have to try to hold up what you believe. Because ultimately, belief means that you don't know. You just believe. And not knowing, coming from a state of not knowing, is the most important thing for human beings, because it leaves an openness. And you're able to handle things from here, from a state of not knowing, just awareness.